Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Golden Honey, and today we're going to be talking about how to calculate the feast days. And if you're new to my channel, I'm glad to have you here. Go ahead, like, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell so every time I put out an awesome video, you'll be notified. So here I have the moon cycle from 2022 to 2023, and the dates below represents the beginning of each new month, which is from the first month all the way into the 12th month. As you can see on the top of the screen, I have the ending date cycle for last year, which is February 2nd, 2022, and the following year will be March 3rd, 2022. This is the new year, which is the month of Abib. And I have it continuing down to the 12th month, which is February 22nd. And I went ahead and put an additional date for the year after this, which is March 22nd, 2023. So you can see how the months continue afterwards. There should be no gaps between or any extra months like some people may come across. So hopefully that makes that clear. Hope that clarifies for you. And also I go by the Crescent Moon, so you know how I am calculating these days accordingly. So the first thing you do when you're coming to calculating these feast days, you must first find the beginning of each month. You can do so by calculating the moon cycle, which go by the first illumination of light. You can go to Google and you can go up Moon Giant, which also have little features on there that show you the first illumination of light on their website. And once you find your moon cycles showing the beginning of the month, you can move on further, which brings you to your next step, which is the spring equinox. If you're still having trouble calculating the months of the year, especially the beginning month, you can look at the spring equinox, which should tell you when spring is beginning, and any new moon that's close to the spring equinox should tell you the new year. Now, if you go into the month of April, that means you have gone too far and you'll end up calculating the feast days incorrectly. So you should go to the moon that's closest to the spring equinox within the month of March. Now here I have the high holy days, which is the feast days appointed to us by the Most High. I already have calculated it out for you, but I will not read the scriptures pertaining for each one, but I will give a brief synopsis on each feast day with the scriptures to go under it. So when you go to each scriptures, it'll be easy and it's very self-explanatory, and it will explain how and when these feast days will occur and how they should be observed. Keep in mind, when keeping the feast days, they should be observed during the daytime and not at nighttime or at evening, unless instructed by in the scriptures like I've shown above. This is a little off subject, but I think it's important to say, just like in Genesis 1, when the Most High created the light and he divided it from the darkness, and he called the light day and he called the darkness night. They are not in the same season, and they're meant to be divided forever and not put together as one. Just as it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:5, we are children of the light. We are children of the day, not of night, nor of darkness. Now, I may not have quoted it correctly, but it's along those lines. So keep in mind, you cannot observe any feast day while you are sleeping or going to sleep. So here we have the first feast day, which is the Passover. It's to be observed on the 14th day of Abib. We are to commemorate this feast day by eating the bitter herbs, unleavened bread, and the lamb, and to remember that when we were captive in Egypt and we were preparing to leave in the morning, which lead us to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We are commanded not to eat any bread that have leaven in it from the 15th day to the 21st day, which is exactly 7 days as instructed. The memorial of Simon. We are to remember the trials and victories of Simon and how we rejoiced with the harp, the cymbals, and the music and violins in the victory of us winning over our enemies. First fruit. This is actually not a feast day, but it helps you understand how to count for the Feast of Pentecost, also known as the Feast of Weeks. You count 50 days after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, after the 7-day regular Sabbath, which should be on the first day of the week, which is Sunday. Feast of Pentecost, also known as the Feast of Weeks. This day we commemorate Christ fulfilling the law of animal sacrifice and signifying him being as the true first fruit of God in spirit, and that we no longer have to do animal sacrifice or give thanks for ingathering of our crops, for those things were all under the old covenant. Memorial blowing of trumpets. On this day is like a Sabbath of rest. It is a sacred assembly to commemorate the blasting of trumpets for the 7th new moon month. Feasting was also a part of the new moon celebration. The Day of Atonement. This is also not a feast day, but a day to atone for one's sins. From the 9th to the 10th day shall be like a Sabbath, and on the 10th day you afflict your soul by fasting. The Feast of Tabernacles. This is an 8-day feast, and the first and the last day is a holy convocation, which is a Sabbath. In the first 7 days, as our ancestors did, we dwell in booths or in tents to commemorate the day we were brought out of the land of Egypt. The Feast of Dedication, which is a time to remember of feasting in mirth and gladness. This is also an 8-day feast, celebrated just as the Feast of Tabernacles. This is when we rededicated the altar back to the Most High, and at the altars we burned incense, lamps, and candlesticks so it would give light to the temple. And we also dedicated music of songs and with the harps and the cymbals, and we also decked the temple with crowns of gold and shields, and we gave gifts of meaning to one another. The Destruction of Nicanor. We commemorated the defeat of a wicked enemy of Israel, Nicanor, and the prestigious victory of Judas Maccabees and his brethren over the Greeks. In conclusion, Nicanor was beheaded, which caused Israel to rejoice greatly and to keep this as a day of days of great gladness, which is the 13th day of Adar. Purim. This is a feast to be remembered. This takes place on the 13th and 14th day of Adar. During this time, there was a man named Haman of the Agagites who had a perpetual hate for the Jews, who became high status to the king of Persia, who was given the king's ring to decree any decree that is necessary. But Esther, being the high status that she is, being queen of Persia, she found favor with the king, and he also decreed that all Jews can take up arms and defend themselves in the day of calamity. But Haman, who plotted against the Jews, was put to death, hung on a gallows meant for her uncle Mordecai, and along with his family, his kinsmen were put as slaves amongst the Jews. And on the 13th and 14th day of Adar, they rested, and they made it a day of gladness, a good day of feasting and sending portions to one another. I hope you find this video very useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me any comments down below. So go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so every time I put out an awesome video, you'll be notified. And with that, I say shalom.